What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Flipside, a Get Your Teach On podcast, where we break down, share, and challenge flip perspectives and insights on different hot topics in education. And today is going to be a hot topic for sure. We have Kellee Merritt here, and we're going to be talking all about the F word. I'm not going to give too much into it right now because I want you to stick around and listen, but we're talking about the F word. Wade is looking at me like, what could this be for this one? But Kellee is an incredible administrator. She's actually the administrator of one of our Indiana collaboration sites. Shout out to Springville Elementary, and this conversation is about to be good. So stay tuned right here on the Flip Side. Another day back on the Flipside couch. How are you guys doing? How's it feeling?
Hey, I love this cozy couch.
Wish I was on my couch.
We love it.
Do y'all pick your seats first?
Yes. No, I love my chair. I love my little chair. It's got my butt indent on it already.
Has impressions of his shoes that will never leave the chair because he sits on his feet.
Oh, well, that's okay. Yeah, we love it.
Can never sit right.
Everyone feeling good today?
Feeling
great.
great.
Well, welcome back. Another episode. I don't even know what episode this is number, but you can check it out. But I'm going to start things off with a little game of password today. I thought it would be fun. I saw a TikTok, and endless scrolling on TikTok. A game of password. So here's how it works. I'm going to say a word. I cannot say the actual word, but I can only say one word to try to have you guess and read my mind of what the password is, okay?
I've never seen this game before.
Okay, it's on Jimmy Fallon too. Or Kiki Palmer does password. Have you seen it with Kiki and Jimmy Fallon? This is that game.
I have.
Okay, this is that game.
Trying to remember it.
Kiki's the host, okay? But Jimmy Fallon does it as well. So I'm going to say a word. You have to try to guess the word that I'm thinking, and then I'm going to tailor my next word to continue to have you try to guess the word, okay?
That's hard for you.
But I'm going to say one word. Yes, but I know the password, so it's harder for you, I promise, okay?
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. So, now I wish at home they could know the password, but they don't. So you're going to have to play it along at home too, because it's not going to be like, the password is, like they do on the show, but it's fine. Okay. Peter Pan.
Neverland.
Yeah.
Oh, we're supposed to guess something?
Yeah, you're supposed to guess a word that is the password. It's a one-word password.
Movie.
No.
Peanut butter.
No.
Oh, you got something else.
I do another word.
I got it.
Sun. They're connected
What
still.
kind of sun?
I can only say one word, and it's
I know, but
still
sun could
connected.
be multiple
Sun.
meanings.
I know. I can't clarify.
Okay,
I'm so sorry. That's the rules.
So sorry.
So sorry. It's in the rule book.
All right,
Okay?
so-
My first clue was Peter Pan. My next one was sun.
Something with the lost boy.
Fly.
Something with boy.
No. My next one is floor.
Oh my.
Fly.
Peter Pan, sun,
Eyes.
floor. No one yet?
You're not me.
Okay. Okay. Dark.
Sky.
No, remember it's all connected. So I said Peter Pan,
Yep.
sun,
Oh, Peter Pan flies in
Floor.
the sky. The sun is in the sky.
and dark.
Dark. The sky can be dark.
All right. Hang on. Okay. Keep going.
Mimic.
Shadow.
Yes, you good job. Great job.
So
I'm so
proud.
proud of you. I'm really proud. That was it.
Oh, good.
The
Good
password
job.
was shadow. Okay.
All right.
Okay. There we go.
Great
That is a hard one. I didn't know how to do it with one word. Okay?
I think Peter Pan was throwing me off, but it makes perfect sense.
He has a shadow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
And
only.
so
That's the
back-
first thing that came to mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Next one.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I can go a number of different ways, but I'm just gonna go with what comes first in my head for this one.
Tilapia.
No, that should be story for the podcast of tilapia, but no. Okay. Hope you're gonna start with this one. Okay. Shrek.
Ogre.
No.
Monster.
One guess. Wade. Shrek.
Monster.
Stop putting things in my head.
Shrek is not a monster.
Yes, he is. He's an ogre.
Okay.
Green. I don't know.
Waffles.
The Waffle House.
Nope. They go together, remember?
Yes.
Shrek. And then my second one was waffles.
Eddie Murphy.
Wow.
No.
No, because he didn't do anything with Shrek. Well, he was in Shrek.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
And my next clue is Eddie Murphy.
No!
Waffles, Eddie Murphy.
Shrek, Waffles, Eddie Murphy. Donkey.
Yes, good job.
Okay.
Good job. Okay, last one. Here we go.
Okay.
Princess.
Uh-huh.
Okay, just guess.
Cinderella.
You got it. What? That is amazing. I thought I'd have to go through like ball or thing.
What?
That's amazing. You got it. Cinderella. Good job. Classic. There we go.
That
That's the
IQ just
password.
really is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Rapunzel, but it's
Well,
okay.
that would have been wrong. So there you go. And that's the password. But let's dive into today's episode.
Actually, a fun game for your classroom.
Yeah, that would be fun with like vocabulary, things like that. And you have to like, it's like backwards catchphrase almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
One word as you go. Password. Shout out to Kiki and Jimmy Fallon for that one.
for that.
There you go. All right, let's dive into today's episode of The Flip Side. Here we go. Welcome back to The Flip Side, everyone. Today's guest is one of my, I was going to say favorite leaders, but probably favorite humans in the world, Kellee Merritt, but not Merritt for long. Newly engaged fiance on the couch. Just give a little flash in the light.
Oh,
for
you
the
won't have to
viewers
flash
on
it much.
YouTube.
You should
Exactly.
see
There we
this
go.
thing.
Congratulations, everyone,
Gorgeous.
being engaged. We're so excited to have you. Kellee is an incredible leader of Spring Mill Elementary in Washington Township in Indianapolis, Indiana. She was also one of our collaboration sites this past year. So we are
Tell us
excited
the tea on Chris. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. Oh, let's go. But Kellee, go ahead and introduce yourself. I know I just gave away your whole resume probably, but tell everyone where you're from, kind of your background within education as we dive in.
Okay. So my name is Kellee Merritt, and I am going into my 27th year of education.
And she's only 23.
And I'm only 23.
We don't know.
It don't crack. No, but I'm currently working as the principal of Spring Mill Elementary School. But my background was a third grade classroom teacher. I was a middle school assistant principal for 3 years. Can never get that time back. And then 2 years as an elementary assistant principal. And then I had 12 years as a reading impact / instructional coach.
Oh,
and then
incredible.
now I'm the principal.
There
So
we go.
that's my background.
There's that resume.
Yeah. Before we dive in, talk a little bit about your experience as a leader of an Indiana collaboration site. This has been a statewide partnership for 2 years now with Get Your Teach On and the Indiana Department of Education. Just talk about
And when we say cohort, we're surrounded with leaders like Kellee.
Literally,
So
yeah.
that
We
is
talk
where-
about, and we've said it multiple
we're
times on
getting
here, our
intel
leadership
from.
cohort. It's Kellee's and like-minded leaders like Kellee that are really helping us shape the future of what PD looks like for students, for teachers and leaders, as you go in. So talk about not necessarily even your experience, but just for your school as a whole and your teachers as a collaboration site this past year.
Okay, it's going to be hard not to just go like crazy about this because this was like the best thing that could have ever happened to our school. Like literally, and I'm not just saying that because I'm here, but it literally was the best thing that could have ever happened to our school. I felt like it was the shot in the arm that we needed to get to the next level. And I think that it had been a long time that we've had something where everyone was on board with it. So it kind of started, we took a team to nationals last year in Dallas. And it was like 5 teachers. And we had such an amazing time. And we came back and we were so pumped. And I rolled it out in the first staff meeting. So people looking like, y'all went to Dallas. No, you didn't go to any sessions. I'm like, I went to every single session. And so I felt like we were getting, a little like the haterade from some individuals. But as it turned out, so it started with that. And then when I was in Dallas, I applied for the collaborations.
Yeah.
I like right in the middle of one of the lead on sessions, I was like, I got to do this right now. So I was like, and then I learned about the fact that there was an Indiana collaboration, and that Indiana collaboration was just happening in my hometown on my birthday.
It was.
Literally like 2 weeks after that
Sat in the
conference.
front row too.
I did. And they're like, that's not really a coincidence. And so we're there, and I'm like, I'm applying again. So I applied again, and, I think it was like somewhere in, I want to say like late August, I get this email, and it says Chase Mayo. And I'm like, Chase Mayo? What's Chase Mayo?
What brand is that?
What, is that a bait? What is that?
Mayo.
That's a new mayonnaise brand.
I know. And then it said GYTO, and I'm like, I know what that is. And so then I read the email, and it was like, I started screaming in my office, and they were like, what's going on? I'm like, we got accepted. So it's so cool. And I think it's just been the best experience that has not only been motivating, it's been affirming, it's been encouraging, and it's also helped us put some things in place that we need to put in place.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some things that we needed to do that weren't happening, and we had an outside perspective that felt like an inside family member who just said, you might need need to adjust this or do this. And it just felt like it was collaborative, and it wasn't like you need to do this and then the person left and never came back. It was like, you need to do this and I'm going to help you do it.
But it
And
was
I'm
also
gonna show you right
so, yeah. And it was also so effective though, because you are that kind of leader that was, you had this opportunity, you took it and you just didn't let that person come in and then, okay, well, whatever happens.
The
follow through. And that was the game changer in sites being extremely successful. And those who had minimal results was the leadership taking it, owning it, and following through with it every single day. Because we can't just show up to your building one time and miracles happen. That is not a reality. We are not that great. We are not even close to being that great. Never will be anything that great. And that's why when people will come up to us and say, thank you so much. I'm like, no, thank you. Because while I'm a team member for you, you at the end of the day have to do the work to actually make it happen. So thank you for being that kind of leader, because that's why you saw such incredible results and why we wanted you on this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, because I felt like I sat in that space and I was transformed. So it was easy to sign up for this because I know how I felt sitting in that room in nationals. And it was, when I say it was transformational, it was transformational. And I've 27 years, I've been a lot of PD and I've been to some really good PD, but I felt like it was, I came back. And the thing that resonated with me, and you said it several times, and I think in your opening session, was the whole idea of humanity, how we are focusing on the human that impacts the teacher, and that teacher is going to impact the student. And that just stuck. It just it resonated. And I'm like, I just want to be a better human. And if I can be a better human, then I can be a better leader.
Yeah.
And I can help my teachers become better teachers, but I need to start with their humanity.
I feel that's my core. Yeah.
And I think over this past year, obviously, Kellee was one of my collaboration sites, so I got to get to know her and her teachers very well. The one thing about you as a leader of a building is you are, and you always say this, you are building your dream team. It is not handed to you as a leader and teachers. You have to build that team of what that looks like. And shout out to the leadership team, Luann, Jasmine, Robin, Jill, for really that follow through of what that looks like is huge. I mean, that is huge for leaders to kind of take that. But that's not the topic of this, although we could talk about that all day of Kellee and the incredible things that you're doing at Spring Mill. Today, we're going to talk about the F word.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And we say the F word, we're talking about fidelity with curriculum. That is something... Exactly, which we have heard multiple times that new districts roll things out or curriculums or whatever it is, and it's this much to be taught with fidelity. So today's topic is autonomy or versus fidelity, the power in the teacher's hands, essentially, right? When we're talking about fidelity with curriculum, where does that balance lie between teaching them with fidelity and the benefits of that, and then giving the teachers the power to kind of take it and run? So, Hope, I'm going to turn things over to you. Kind of where this conversation started was on previous episodes, or even just working with our schools and teachers, and everyone kind of using fidelity as almost an excuse for, I can't do these strategies because I have to teach you with fidelity and what that looks like.
I mean, that it's we hear so many things and being in so many different environments and spaces. And, we'll hear things like, well, because we'll notice maybe teachers weren't buying into this session or this workshop. And we're always, my thought is always, well, why? What can I do differently to help you where you need to be helped, right? Not just, well, that's what they brought me for, so I'm going to deliver it. And you take and do what you want. I will literally start having conversations with, I want to know why, because number one, I never want to waste teachers' time. And number two, I don't want to waste my time.
Right.
Both, right? There's that mutual respect. And it always boils down to, we love this. We love the PD, the energy. It's so great. However, our districts will bring you in, or they'll send us to your conference, but then we're not allowed to do that in our actual spaces. And I'm like, huh. And is it really that they're not allowed to do that? Is that they don't think they can do it? Like, what is because then it's, the excuse is always, well, we have to teach the curriculum to fidelity, right? And so then, but here's what I've also noticed. Everybody has a different perspective of what and definition of what fidelity is. And so I think it's become the easy out of, well, I can just, for us, it used to be that we had a scripted curriculum, right? And we have to read the lines exactly like, so, well, our district, they say we have to teach to fidelity. So that just kind of eliminates them to have to make any change or shift or adjustment because their district says they have to teach to fidelity. So I've heard it in lots of ways, concepts, environments, perceptions. But to me, I'm going, is this really helping the school system or is this harming the school system? Because while I am big about alignment, to me, alignment is different than what we're identifying as fidelity. So I would love to hear what fidelity just in general.
Yeah, when you hear that word as a leader, even thinking back to teacher, coach, but especially now as a leader, when you're told either from the district or
I think it's a jail for a lot. They think it's like a jail for a lot of teachers.
And I think we're going to kind of debate back and forth on this topic a lot because I think there are strong points to both sides. And I kind of know Kellee's feelings a little bit, so I'm going to let her kind of dive in. When you hear the word fidelity, what do you first think for how is that going to impact your school and teachers, or even as a leader, have you ever said that to your teachers, like from the district to you, or how does that look for you?
I think we've had conversations on both sides because I think the hard thing about fidelity is that people say, I have to teach with fidelity. And then you find out there's a lot of things that you're doing that are not good practices.
Oh, that might not be fidelity in the first place.
Like, this does not look like fidelity.
And I think that's like that's the teeter totter that you're on, trying to figure out. I feel like, in my opinion, fidelity is to the standard. What is it that we're supposed to be teaching? And that can look a lot of different ways. If the lesson in the book matches that, great, use the lesson in the book. If it doesn't, create your own lesson. It should be to whatever is supposed to be being taught. And I think that's what curriculum is designed for, to kind of give you that roadmap of this is what's developmentally appropriate for this number of kids or for this many grade levels.
Can we get that in Webster's Educational Dictionary? Because that is what I truly think fidelity should be, is teaching to the standard.
Yep.
And that is where then I really start having conflicts when teachers are bringing in curriculums, or they'll take, hey, can you come to my classroom and teach this lesson? And I start looking it up and I'm like, but that's not even a standard. So then when we're told by districts to teach this curriculum to fidelity, are they just saying that because that's a buzzword in education, which means stick to this, but then you're not actually standards driven, you're curriculum driven?
And I remember one time specifically in a PLC at your school, Kellee, where it was a math PLC, it was second grade, and Robin, who's your math coach, was sitting there, and second grade was like, hey, here's our next lesson. We're doing this. We were having great conversation. And then Robin was just like biting her tongue, and we turned over, she's like, guys, that lesson in this curriculum is not even the second grade standard. And they were all like, oh, they had wasted so much time, poor thing.
Yes.
And they had a killer lesson. It was a great lesson for it. And they were like, yeah, you're right. So they're being told that this is our math curriculum for our district. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go to lesson 17. Then we're going to 18. But really, it was jumping, not that I'm using this as an example, but like from 13 to 19, because everything in between did not apply to second grade at that time where the standards were written. So that's where fidelity kind of gets like messy almost on what that looks
And
like.
there's no clarification.
No.
It's always just teach to fidelity.
Right.
Teach to fidelity. Teach to fidelity. Teach to fidelity. And that word is used as if people understand a clarity of what that action actually means. And there is no clarity in education. For some districts, there are. For your example, the way that you provided for your staff, they all know. To me, your teachers probably are not triggered when you say teach to fidelity, because that means be standards driven.
Right.
Which is what we should be doing as teachers anyways. I think where the trigger happens is in districts where the district doesn't even know what fidelity means, right?
And
so it's
the
simply
interpretation of what that means, that it cannot be 100%, because that doesn't make fidelity of a curriculum. Let's go to curriculums, for example, because that's when you're traditionally saying it. The district spent all of these, I know how much curriculum costs, but I can't even put a number on what that might look like. Exactly.
$1 billion industry.
For this entire district. We have a new, let's say, new reading curriculum. I know in Indiana, that's a hot topic right now, so we'll go with that. New reading curriculum, we're going to introduce with fidelity, because we spent all this money, these resources. We had a whole team choose it, teach with fidelity. Now, the interpretation of what that looks like in my classroom, I have different students. They have different needs. We're on a different standard. Some of it is it's not created by Indiana standards, the curriculum. It's created at a higher level. So what does that look like? And I'm sure many teachers listening can relate to this. What does that look like for implementation if there are teachers in that kind of frame where they're told, teach with fidelity, here's your new curriculum. It's very scripted, page by page. What does that look like for you?
Can I add a follow-up to this?
Yeah, sure. Part A, part B.
Yeah. Okay. Because this is what I think you're so good at.
There are many things on that list.
You're given this and told even what fidelity means, right? So let's even assume that some schools and districts, well, there are some schools and districts who are told, like, they have clarity on what fidelity means. Here's my second part of that equation. You can have fidelity all day long. What's the accountability?
Right.
So many districts are saying, teach fidelity, and they're never even in the classrooms. They never even know what teachers are doing. They never even know until an evaluation time comes and they're like, oh, shoot. I promise you can say till you're blue in the face, teach fidelity. If there is no accountability and measures in place, teachers are going to do what they want, which causes teachers to be on 75 different pages in the school building. So I think with fidelity comes if you want teachers to respect that, there also has to be accountability measures in place to see outcomes and results. So I think that's also part of your question is, what does the accountability measure look like for that implementation?
I think just to start, anytime you're implementing anything that's brand new, there are going to be holes. We know that. There is no perfect curriculum. Find it for me because it does not exist.
It does not exist.
There is no perfect curriculum. So it's not going to fit all the needs of every single student in your classroom, every single student in your building, every single student in your district. It's just not ever going to happen. And so I think really we need to get down to is, what is it that we're supposed to be teaching? And taking time to really sit down with teachers and teacher teams and do that vertical alignment and do those that curriculum mapping, those type of activities, so we really understand what is a second grade standard.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know.
Yeah.
It's like we're thinking, and you know, I can think back to when I taught third grade. They taught these things. That has changed. It's not the same things. And I think people are going off of, and a lot of it's what we like to teach too. Let's be real about that. There are certain things that we like to teach, so then we want to put that in there. And I think you just get this mixed bag. And I think kids are leaving just kind of confused because they're not getting solidified in anything that's going to really help them have solid rooting in what they need to know that's going to help to be
Foundational skills.
for the next year after that, and years to come. And so I think when you really look at Fidelity, I think if you don't have instructional coaches, and not everybody does, but sitting down, that's why that PLC process is so important, really drilling down to what is it that we're supposed to be teaching.
Yeah.
If we know what we're supposed to be teaching, then we can find multiple ways to teach it. And it might be the book and it may not. Yeah. And that's okay. And I think teachers need to feel that autonomy. There are some teachers in my building that are phenomenal, just outstanding teachers. I don't go in there and think, I wonder what lesson that is. Let me go run and see. Let me check that and let me read the lesson as. No, I'm in the moment. I'm engaged. I'm watching it. It's masterful. I don't even care if it's in the book. This is not.
Yeah.
This is what kids need. And when you see that high level of engagement and you see that just that inner joy that's happening in a learning space, who cares if it's in the book?
It doesn't have to fit curriculum. It actually shouldn't fit the curriculum. It should fit the standard.
Right.
And I think that sometimes that's where things are flip-flop. Yes. What are we driving towards? Right. And the only thing that can be consistent to, again, close those holes and gaps, the answer is not going to be curriculum, because curriculums are all over the place and then every school is different. The end game should be the standards. Right. That's what we focus on to close those gaps so that every student is being driven towards the same end game, right? Now, how we get them there can look completely different.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't have to fit the curriculum. It needs to fit the standard if you're truly teaching to what Fidelity actually is.
I mean, hi, I'm Wade.
Hi, Wade.
It's been great listening to you guys for the past 16 minutes. Learned a lot.
Did you say anything in the first 16?
No, I did not.
Do you need some water?
And that's how I was during the homework episode.
Yeah, you were.
No, it's been great. You are a great instructional leader. And we've seen that. We know it. And that's one thing that we stress a lot, like with administrators, whoever they are, principals, be an instructional leader, know what you know what you don't know. I don't, and this is just me, I don't understand where the misconception or when this happened of teachers not being standards driven. I don't know where that was lost.
Curriculum.
Right.
Curriculum with Fidelity. This exact topic. That's where it started.
No. I mean, I've been a teacher for a long time, and we had, like Hope said, we had a curriculum, but we were still standards driven. I don't understand where the standard foundation has just kind of been blown to the wayside to where whatever curriculums are more important. I don't get it.
Where do you think that is?
Yeah, where is the disconnect? I think as curriculums are being developed, and this is outside of our wheelhouse, obviously, it is very big picture. So I think of a reading curriculum, for example. I have yet to find a reading curriculum that is exactly for the standard that I want to teach that day, intentional enough that it's not too much, it's not too overwhelming. In fact, the majority of reading curriculums are very broad with 7 standards per week. And I know we hear that so
per lesson sometimes.
Per lesson. Like it's like all these standards. And that is just not best instruction for kids. Even for adults, it's too much at one time. And I think it's very kind of big picture as this looks nice and it comes with all these online features and this and that. But is that really what's best for kids? I don't necessarily think that a curriculum is that. But the shift has come because we have a lot of teachers in roles that are not certified, are not are not in a place where they can create these lessons in a meaningful way. So the alternative to that on the flip side of it is to hand them this kind of script and say, this is what, because that's better than the alternative of going rogue onto.
Because Fidelity has come about.
Tissue paper dinosaurs.
Yeah. Because Fidelity has come about really more so post-COVID.
Right.
Yes.
And that is because, again, the teaching profession has a massive deficit.
We're off the road. We are off the road. We're in the cornfields. We got to get back on the road. We got to get back on the road.
Yeah.
But I think when I think of Fidelity, and this is something a model I've always followed, and maybe some told me it.
Hearing that word also.
Well, and that's the thing.
There should be another drinking game here
every time I hear
because
districts are using it and still not, they're not effective.
That's why it's the F word. Yeah.
Not effective because
like I literally tune out. I don't want to listen to
correct because that's the
and it's gotten such a bad rap in education.
100%.
It really should be exactly what you're talking about. Alignment and standards driven, but so many districts use it and demand it, but that district's not getting results.
Right.
So your Fidelity ain't Fidelity because it ain't working.
What I think that is the what. Like this is the resource, and I'd say that would be 80% for a district that is trying to go all in. Maybe it's new curriculum. They have to get a return on investment on this massive purchase that they made.
I get
and they want and it's a money game, and they want to make sure that it's the same playing field for everyone. So whether it's the teacher down the hall to here, students are getting a similar experience, which is not, we know that's not going to happen if we're just like, here's the standard, go do it. It is, I know teachers are like, well, I wish I could just do what I want. The alternative is not going to be what's best for kids school-wide. Maybe for your classroom, like you're going to take time to really create meaningful lessons, but for overall, you're not teaching the whole grade level. It is not going to look that way. We've been in a lot of classrooms all together as a team to say that not everyone is going to be able to do that, but I think there's a 20% that's like the how you're delivering it that teachers often forget about, or even leaders. There has to be beyond the pages of what you're doing to kind of make it happen, and that's where the back and forth and the kind of so polarized opinions come in. Is it's not 100. It cannot be 100%. That's unrealistic.
And I think we have people in curriculum. This is going to be taboo, but we have people in curriculum offices who have not been in schools in a very long time.
Right.
And so they're not always cognizant of how these curriculums play out when you're putting them in front of actual little humans.
When really the curriculum specialists that are sitting in the district office should be the curriculum coaches to the curriculum coaches, and they should all be on the same. And if nothing else, if they're not going to be in the schools, then you better get your curriculum coaches together and you let them make the decision.
Absolutely.
Stop making the decision if you're not spending time in the classrooms daily. Because you have no idea how that curriculum is playing out. Did you even look to see if it's standards aligned? Or if you just said, oh, no, this was one that was, the state approves it, so we're just going to go with this model. And I know they put systems in place to have, it piloted. And do you listen? But do you actually listen to what the teacher, or do you already have where the direction you're going and you're trying to trick teachers into thinking that they have voice when you're not actually listening? So this is really a call to leadership, and making these decisions. So it needs to be the professionals, the ones with the kids, are making the decisions.
And it shouldn't be driven by marketing. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to, I've seen pilots happen. I've seen teachers say, we love this curriculum. It's working for our kids. And then you take it to the table and you can't have it because the sales pitch didn't land where they wanted it to land. And so I think that's the other side of it, that we need to really be honest about it. Are we choosing things based off of budgets and what we have? And we know we have to be mindful about money.
Yeah.
But are we choosing it because of that? Or are we actually choosing it because this is what's going to make a difference for these kids that deserve to have a high quality educational experience?
Yeah.
Or is it really just about money? If it's about money, then let's just choose anything.
Yeah.
If that's what it's going to be about.
Because going back to what you said about like, where did we lose sight of being standards driven? Because I do agree with that. And I do think a lot of it is COVID. And I do think a lot of it is the teacher deficit and shortage across the nation. We have lost sight of being standards driven and also results driven as well. We want to wait until the end of the year when high stakes testing. Why didn't you get the scores? Why aren't you getting?
It's too late.
It is too late for that.
The clock has expired.
And so then the answer is always, oh, this school isn't performing. New curriculum.
Yep.
Curriculum, first of all, is, to me, this is what curriculum is dead without delivery. So let's just start there. We have to have highly qualified professionals in the building to deliver that curriculum. Otherwise, it's going to fall flat every time.
Yep.
But why are we not focusing on what is working in schools, where results are being found, and implementing best practices, best habits for instruction, and then curriculums become the resource to fulfill some of that? But to me, in my classroom, in our class, I think we're all very similar. We were standards focused and results driven. And guess what? It's got to be simple. That's very simple.
Yes.
Standards focused, results driven. And guess what? All of us sitting in this room right now have had high, exceedingly high results. And that's where I'm going, teachers, and it's not their fault. I'm not going to put this on the teachers.
It's not.
The higher ups are overcomplicating everything, which makes teachers overcomplicate everything.
Yes.
Which makes Fidelity have this, taboo, whatever, perception. We've got to simplify. Standards driven, results driven. They both go hand in hand. And both of those things we've lost somewhere in the mix of all of this.
Yeah. And Kellee, I have a question for you. So there are probably many teachers listening right now. They're in a district or a school where that word, the F word, we'll just call it that now so we don't have to say it a million times. And
Thank you.
if it was a drinking game, people would be blackout by now. So as we said it.
Or if it's coffee, you're ticking. You're really ticking.
Coffee,
Yeah.
you're definitely shaking. But if they're in a place where maybe their leader is maybe from the district, maybe whatever, saying that
Lots of pressures.
there is a lot, because we've been even within your state with our conferences that we just had this past summer, there are teachers like, I have to teach this like this with like they have these conversations. They're very open about it. They're like, how would I do this? What advice would you have for them as the teacher if they maybe don't have a leader that is advocating for them to, obviously there's got to be that tight, right? But that looseness of the delivery that we were talking about, what advice would you have for the teachers who are not in an environment where maybe they do feel confident enough or comfortable to be like, hey, this is not working for kids?
Oh, I want to see what you said, because I know.
This is our kid.
Yeah.
It's hard because I think that when you're passionate about something and you're passionate about getting results, and you know that what you're doing is getting results for students, then you have to stand your ground on what you know is best. And so I think that can be difficult. That can be a hard conversation to have with someone who is your leader. But we have to stand up for what's right for kids. And if you know this is working, if you know that what you're doing is working, and it wasn't the lesson in the book, and it wasn't somewhere where you Googled and just found anything. Also, loose tight. You have to stand up for the results. And I think when you have results that show something is working, then I don't know any mindful leader that's going to come and say, you know what, I don't want you to do that. I want the kids to do worse. So please go back and do something different. Yeah. I don't know anybody who thinks that way. Yeah. And if they do think that way, they're in the wrong profession, and they need to leave immediately. So for me, I always tell teachers, like, I want to see you teaching at the top of your game. I want to see kids learning. And if I see that, I'm not questioning you. I'm not wondering what page you're on. Did you follow the map? I don't care about the map. I care about making sure that the kids that are entrusted, that walk through these hallways every day, that they get exactly what they need. And if you're doing that, that's a check for me.
Because I've been in schools where they'll literally say, like a third grade team, let's say, we should see the progression of the lesson from classroom 1 to classroom 2 to classroom 3 to classroom 4 throughout that time. Like if the lesson starts here at 8 a.m. by 9 p.m., that's insane.
Who is
to
that
me.
for? That's my question.
Who is that for?
Who is that
and what
for?
is that doing?
Is that
at that
for
point?
You, or,
right. At that point, let's just play a video from the curriculum.
Yeah.
Have someone hit play in the front. Right. Everyone gets the same. That if that's what Fidelity meant, that would be the solution. Is there's a video, someone monitoring the classroom, and everyone is listening to the same message from the curriculum created how they want. That's not teaching. Like there's an art to it.
I got something I would like to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So if I'm a teacher in a building where I'm told to teach with Fidelity, first of all, my first question is going to be, are they holding me accountable?
Right.
Because if they're not in my classroom,
right,
you can do it.
I'm going to teach how I want to. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to break the rules. And I've talked about this on many, I am not a rule breaker except for in my classroom. However, I'm going to break the rules, but I'm going to get results. Here's my thing that I see from some teachers. They are the biggest complainers about Fidelity. They might even break the rule. They're still not getting results. If you are not getting results, you have no leg to stand on.
We don't.
It's exactly what you said. And I feel like a lot of people who are complaining about this Fidelity, you're not getting, then do something that gets results.
You have to get results.
Because once you get results, then you can argue. Yeah. Then you can advocate. Yes. Then you can step up. That's the thing. I mean, even long ago, your lessons are just so cute. Those room transformations are just so. Now, I had a scripted curriculum. I chose how I delivered those lines. I chose how I taught that. It was outside of the box. It was different than every single person in my building. Guess what? I had high results. Right. I had high mastery. My administration wasn't going to come say anything to me, right? Besides maybe close your door, be a little quieter, which I thought was so rude because I'm like, but okay, right? you cannot argue if you are not getting results.
Yeah, and I think
You cannot complain if you are not getting results.
Yeah, you and I were on the same wavelength there because, I mean, again, I think both of us are very respectful for whoever's leading us.
Yes, absolutely.
As people, that's just who we are. We're very respectful. And so as teachers, I was always respectful of the district office. And if they said, hey, this is the curriculum, if this is curriculum map, whatnot, if my principal says, okay, this is, okay, got you. But we had the freedom because of the results to do what we felt was right. But we were also still willing to break the rules.
Right.
I mean, in our district, you had to turn in lesson plans. You had to do that. You think I ever turned in a lesson plan? Do you ever think my principal asked me about my lesson plan? Nope.
I never
Did not.
Same.
Did not.
I
And it
submitted
was
the same
because-
lesson plan every week.
It was the same exact one.
Right.
But it was because we were standards driven. We were respectful of our leadership.
And I wasn't shouting that all over the place. Like
No.
a lot of people are
And
trying to
also,
be divisive.
remember,
with that.
if you're listening, very different time in education. We didn't have all these cases with parents coming back and saying this was never. It was very different
Right.
at the beginning of our careers to where we are now of what that looks like for planning and things like that of when you know things
Yeah.
for accountability purposes. But
Yeah.
I think you said something earlier I wanted to go back to about the accountability piece. And I will say this to any leader. You have got to get into the classrooms. And I know the job is hard. I'm not talking at you. I'm telling you because I know I do the job. I know it's hard. I know it's hard when you've got a parent who just showed up and they think that your schedule is just waiting for them to come in and have a meeting with you right now.
Yeah.
But you have got to prioritize because if you do not know what's happening in your classroom, in the classrooms where you lead, that is that's a tragedy. You can't ask for anything. You can't ask for Fidelity, and you're not even holding.
What does that look like for you? What does that look like for you?
When I going in classrooms?
Yeah.
I spend the majority of my time in the classrooms. I do, and anybody
on
who's
the
ever been-
floor with the kids.
yes,
What,
And
real-
more.
what-
I do.
how did that start? Because I'm sure that was very uncomfortable for your teachers if they weren't used to that. So you're
Yeah.
going into a new building, you're
Right.
walking
True.
or I'm just going to put different, perspectives out there, or you're a new leader and you're going into a building, or maybe you're a leader that's been in the building for 10 years and you've never done this. How did you make that the norm in your building? What did that process look like for you? Because we can't just tell people to be in the classroom.
True.
They don't know where to start.
That's true. I am a teacher at heart. That's what I love. I love, love, love to teach. And so I try to find opportunities to do that in small ways, in big ways. And so for me, I was coming from an instructional coaching background into the principalship. And so I was just leaving that. So my day looked like going around, pushing into classrooms, coaching teachers up, pulling small groups. And so that was comfortable for me. And so in going into a new building that was very different than the building that I had been in on the other side of the district, I know that when people see me with kids, that's my street cred. And so I said, I got to get in there and I've got to show them, because when they see what I can do with kids, then they will trust me more.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, what are you doing here? I said, I'm just coming. I'm coming. I'm here. I'm coming. And they're like, well, do you need something? Absolutely not. And so
What do you need? Get out of my room.
I know. They would have that look like, get out of my room. But I get on the floor with the kids, if it's carpet time, whole group time, small, whatever it is, I try to find a way to be a part of what's happening where it doesn't feel evaluative, where it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm trying to wait for you to mess up. No, I'm just here. I'm just a part of it.
Yeah.
You need a paper passed out, hand it to me. I'll pass them out.
Yeah.
You need someone to, work with these kids.
Non-invasive. You're just part of it.
Because I love to teach. And so to me, I'm a coach at heart. And I think I lead with that kind of coaching mindset, even though I'm not athletic at all. But I have that coaching mindset. I want to help. I want to partner. I want to collaborate. And if there's something that you want to get done and I can help you do it, I'm your biggest cheerleader. So let's go make it happen. So that's really how it started.
It's not a formal observation.
But also, you're not saying, and I mean, you could easily say this in elementary school, but if you have, somebody who's in middle school and
That's true.
but if you're not an expert on the content area, fine. Like you said, let me pass out papers. Let me assist. You don't have to be the best at every single, or even skilled in teaching every single content area. It's the action of you being present.
The best
And consistently present,
The
not
best
just every once in a
administrator
while.
we ever had, who will be on the podcast soon, Dr. Black, came from high school, middle school background, and he became the principal at our elementary school. And he had that same coaching mentality. He loved kids. He loved teaching.
He had never taught elementary
Never
school.
taught elementary school, but he made it a priority that he went to every single
Actively
classroom in the
present.
morning. Hey, good morning, everybody. And he knows what's going on.
And then was there throughout the day. He would just pop in.
Right.
And, at first it was kind of like, oh, hi. What are you, okay. All right. I'll get super nervous. And then by literally 2 months in, I'm like, oh, hey, Dr. Black, all right. Yeah. And the kids knew it wasn't, but it has to be consistent to become a norm. It will continuously be awkward if you only do it every so once in a while.
With that part.
And so, that's to me how you establish that environment, which you have done so beautifully in your school.
We've seen.
But it's going to require, I'm sure that was uncomfortable for you.
It was at first because I have that kind of person. I want you to want me in your space.
Yes.
So I'm like, you don't want me here?
Yeah. It's awkward.
You don't know me.
Yeah, it's awkward.
I'll
It's
say
awkward.
that too. So even with us, when we work with schools, kind of like what Chris did with you guys, there will be some schools that like, oh my goodness, Wade is here. And some schools are like, what the, I get that icky feeling and I don't want to push in, or it's consistency. You got to be consistent. It can't be awkward.
You have to just keep coming back, and you have to know that it's not personal.
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't want you in your space, not because they don't want you in their space. They're just threatened by the fact that somebody's actually in the space, another adult. You know how many teachers are afraid of adults?
Yeah.
And
A whole bunch.
also,
Yeah.
if
That's a common fear. That is a common fear. That's how we teach kids.
if someone is in your room, there's kind of two scenarios that I can see playing out for teachers, and I've been in both sides of this throughout. One is that you want to do your absolute best, so you turn into a nervous that, oh my gosh, I really want to make this person proud that I am killing it for kids. So you kind of, we've seen it as leaders, they turn into this other human, but you know that they're an incredible teacher doing it, but they're just, they're like under pressure.
Yeah.
The other side of that is that you walk in the room underprepared, not a plan for what's next, and it's like a ooh gotcha moment, which really that's not the intention ever in a classroom.
Never.
But to you as the teacher, it may feel that way because you don't know what's coming next, and now you're like the best phrase, like call with your pants down, essentially. Like that's the I don't know how to put it in a cleaner way, but that's a you problem as a teacher, right? And there's times that I've been in both scenarios where I'm like, maybe I had a rough weekend and I'm like, okay, I'm not as prepared as there.
Right.
And then, but as soon as someone walks in, I'm like, oh, I better get it together right now. I'm gonna figure it out because I cared so much. But there are teachers that don't necessarily take it up to 10 notches there. And then that's a reflection, kind of taking ownership of why am I feeling nervous when my leader comes in? Why am I acting different? Is it because I want to kill it to do the bestest for these kids? Or it's because maybe I'm not as prepared as I thought I would, and I don't want you to see what's about to happen because
Correct.
or I'll be in, oh, well, we're just beginning packing up. Well, we got 35 minutes to, what do you mean? I'm about to stay here for the next 35 minutes. Like that, you saying that just made me want to stay even longer to ensure that what's happening is what's best for kids. It's the mindset I came in with.
Yeah.
I think back to what Hope said, when you make it a habit of coming in consistently, it's like magic, and it's not really. It just, people feel more comfortable because they see you're coming up and I'm coming the same way. I'm coming back, I'm sitting on the carpet, I'm helping, I'm passing out papers. The phone rings, I'll go answer it. You keep teaching.
Oh,
and if they see that I'm just the co-partner.
Yeah.
In this
You're the equal.
relationship.
Yeah.
I am. And then the kids start selling it. They're like, come in our room today?
Yeah.
I sure am. I'm coming back. And then it becomes this joint relationship.
It's a great environment to be.
Not like nobody's trying to get anybody. We're just all trying to make great things happen for kids.
Yeah.
And it's authentic.
It is.
Yeah, the conversations you can have with a teacher are going to be so much more authentic if you were in their lesson 3 days in a week, 2 days, like that's what's happening. And if you don't have a leader that does that, where maybe you're craving that. Some people might crave that. Like I thrive. If someone's watching, I'm like, oh, it's showtime. I've been working way too hard for just these kids, so I need more people to see what's up. That's my mentality. Like there's times that I'm like, oh, let me close my door, but I'm like, see the incredible things they're doing because we've been working our butts off. And if you don't find that from your leader, there are leaders like that exist. And if you are a leader yourself and you're like, oh, maybe I do our challenge to you is to spend more time in classrooms. But if you're not finding that within your school, there are people there maybe that can support you. Maybe it's a coach. Maybe it's another teacher that can find that way. If you're craving that kind of co-teaching relationship where you're really just growing your craft, but also there are a million other schools too where there might be a leader that fits for you. Springville Elementary, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Come on to Springville, baby.
You need a reference? Yeah, we build that dream team.
But I mean, there was something I want to hit on too. I mean, it kind of goes back to that. You were talking about, Hope was asking you about, okay, if you feel like you're a teacher and you're doing what's right, how as a lead, and you're like, just have those hard conversations. They're not easy, but if you come with some type of solution with a conversation, it's just a conversation. And if your leader doesn't know that you want that, how do you expect them to come in there and help you? And so just going back to that, just have those conversations, and maybe good, maybe bad, but at least you told them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And there have been times that we've done this work with teachers, and they have come back and like, it really makes me feel uncomfortable when you come in my classroom. And I'll just sit down. What makes you feel uncomfortable?
What part?
What is it? Is it because like what makes you feel uncomfortable? Because I sit down with the kids and I feel like I can be flexible, because my goal is to be in the space so that I understand how it works. Coming in for an evaluation that happens twice a year formally or 2 times informally, I don't have a good gauge, a good pulse of, is this how this classroom operates all the time? Because you could have a bad lesson, you could be an amazing teacher, and I'm evaluating you that day, and I think this is how it is all the time if I'm only in there on this day. And so being able to be in there often helps you get that pulse. And so sometimes it's just asking them, what is it that makes you uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Would it be more comfortable for you if I come at this time?
Yeah.
Or if when I leave, everybody wants a note. People love some notes. And that is a hard thing for me to do, because if you ever get a note from me, it was intentional. It takes me 30 minutes to write a note. So I don't leave a lot of notes. And people were like, I just want you to leave a note. And I'm like, oh.
You earned that note.
Like, okay.
You gotta earn that note.
So I started leaving some notes that I normally wouldn't have left.
Oh, wow, okay.
I just started, and then
Which shows they care.
Or there's times I haven't, and I've just said, like in the back, I'm like, you killed, like that was amazing. I'm so proud of you. And I think that's another thing. Going in, I get to learn. I think leaders forget about this. Your school is a classroom, just like the teachers in your room have a classroom.
That's correct.
And you have to differentiate for those adults that are in that space, just like you would differentiate for a classroom.
Yeah.
Because everybody needs something different. And when you learn how to do that, is it easy? No. Is it a huge investment? Yes. Is it a huge reward? Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. We have to look at our space as a classroom of 40, a classroom of 80, if you've got additional staff members that are not teachers. And how can we give people what they need with balance, so that you're not,
You're still able to get stuff done, take care of yourself. Yeah.
But learning how to work with people for their learning style, because we like to force everybody into the way we learn, the way we like feedback, and the way we like praise. Everybody's not like that.
But it's also humans. I mean, it's love languages. I mean, honestly, like it's with any relationship, like it's just what it is.
It is.
So fidelity without clarity of action is just a word. And fidelity without follow through and accountability is just a word. So we have to question ourselves as leaders, as districts, as principals of buildings. Am I just using the word? Or have I clarified what excellence in action of this looks like? And I'm going to hold that accountability in place, because if not, then don't say the word. It's just you're throwing around a term without it actually having meaning in your building. So,
And without it, could turn to chaos. Could turn to chaos. So there's multiple perspectives. Will turn to chaos.
Pretty much bet it's
So those who roll their eyes, well, the alternative could be worse. It's just the clarity and accountability that we need to fine tune of that cloudy kind of area. Well, Kellee, collaborating with you is literally a dream every single time. But thank you so much for being here on the Flipside Couch. Now, this is your first episode on the podcast, so we close out and we say we'll catch you on and we all say Flipside together. But before I know she's gonna kill it. So
like a call and response.
Literally during that episode, I was trying so hard to bite my tongue. We told you that she's newly engaged, and we were making jokes like, "Oh, it's so shiny in the lights." It literally blinded me in the light. So once again, congratulations
I think
on
it
that.
shined back here because I saw the light. I was like,
it was like a disco party in the episode.
Oh, look, we got the close up going. We got the close up
It was a serious conversation.
Yeah.
You did good. Yeah.
Oh wait, we got to get
got a cousin, a brother, a friend.
There we are.
Okay. But if you are watching, we will see you next time on the Flip Side. New episodes every Monday on your favorite platform. You can also watch on YouTube if you want to see the guests live here in the studio. Tune in next Monday for another episode. Connect on social media with us to see who is coming next right here on the Flipside Couch. But until then, we'll catch you on the
Flipside.
Bye. See you next Monday.